YouTube, long time, no talk, no upload videos. This is my blue corn. As you can see, some of it looks clearly like it's in tassel. I just checked this. Now, the reason I'm checking this is because so all the other corn that you see over here on the other side, it had worms. Worms were getting into it. Some sort of worm bug is getting into my corn. So I am having to go and check them. And they're tiny. I think they are being laid in the tassels or flowers, something. They're being laid on the corn or something, and then they, I think, crawl their way inside. So I'm having to peel back layers and look for these guys to make sure they're not eating my corn, because that's what happened to the last group. Of corn. Look, I don't know if you guys can see this little bug. I know but there's a bug right there. The camera's supposed to have autofocus, but he's really, really, really tiny. And thankfully, he's just getting into the corn. You guys see how tiny that little worm is? They start out smaller than that. They are a fourth of his size. That's how tiny they are. And I've been throwing them into my chickens. But I don't want them on my corn. So I'm having to do this. Alright, so I already checked that one. This is the one that I was checking. I have one really beautiful looking blue corn so far. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that color beautiful? I can't wait to eat that. The baby's asleep, so that's why I can do this. Alright, look. Oh, see? Whoa! You see him? This is the sucker. These guys eat them. My frickin' corn. See this? Look at that. That's how big he is. That's how he's been eating my corn. And because they eat the corn, they damage it and they slow the growth of the corn. Or they stunt it altogether and it doesn't grow like it's supposed to. There's another one. You see him? I checked these 4 days ago, actually. And there were none in this stuff that I just found. There was none of these worms in this corn. Like, see, they've stunted the growth of this corn. And they're eating a good amount of it. There's, yeah, you're a little bugger. Some of them, I don't care if they fall. But I'm having to, see how far I'm having to check these? I even have to check the tassels. We've had the worst problem this year with pests. Worms, especially. We were about to have 2 Mr. Stripey tomatoes ready, and they got eaten out by a tomato worm, which I can't find. I've looked for him and looked for him and looked for him and looked for him, and I can't find him. So I don't know if the local bird pests are doing a really, really good job of keeping taking the worms out by sunrise. I don't know if that's the case, because they tend to destroy things overnight. And this is our squash. We have lots of butternut squash. I'm out here having to check this stuff all again. I checked that one. I checked this one. This one's almost done. See, look at that beautiful corn. Might as well just check this farther down. See, this one might be ready. And see, I'm double checking this to make sure. I'm having to go really far down. I'm looking at the corn tassels themselves, seeing it's stunted. They've stunted the growth of the corn. This is probably almost right. I'm waiting for this bit here. Get that. And these are so heavy. They're leaning. over towards me. Okay, and there's a bean plant invading too. Okay, I gotta see where I'm with stuff. Oh, there's a really pale melon back here, or squash, excuse me. There's a really pale squash. Not pale because it doesn't get as much sun. I was just, look, see, here's a green one. Here's a super green. I gotta try this one. I'll put it on other plants so I don't get any bothersome things. Look, there's bean plant. This bean plant's actually all the way down here. Doing great. Let's check this one. I bet this one has some worms someplace on it. Ah, hello. Bug. This one's just growing slow. The blue corn tends to grow slower than all the other ones. And this, it has some little corns on it, but it's nothing worth, and all of it's probably eaten by worms. Sorry, I have to have two hands and I only have one, really. Yeah, I know. Most of this little tiny stuff isn't worth eating. So that's the corn over here, and as you can see, the squash plant over here is sort of starting to invade on the potato box. We have one potato in here dying back. We already had a volunteer or two in the garden die back. I'm going to get rid of this morning glory before it starts choking everything up. Morning glories are a bit of a nuisance. My husband planted them. They're beautiful. I appreciate the greenery, but they're becoming a nuisance now. We'll just lean you over this way. Okay? And we'll just touch you. Okay, grab that. Oh, you're supposed to grab that. I guess it's too hard. If I stick it down like this, it'll start reaching for down here. Yeah. And there's one potato and plant in here dying back. We just recently filled this up level, so we'll see how much farther this goes. And as you can see, very carefully, our apple tree is leaning. It's a good thing that we basically let this grow for 4 years without having any fruit on it, because now its trunk is nice and thick, so it won't easily break. I'm going to grab that corn before I forget it. These rocks, so this is what I recently did on our property. I'm cobbling some over there where the dogs have been digging to keep them from digging. I'll be going through this slowly but surely and picking out ones like this square granite one and leaving ones like this. That one. The nice smooth round ones. So this is our corn over here that seems to be doing quite well. I believe that's some rainbow corn, and there's often wasps over here, so hopefully and there's ants, so, and I have no idea what kind of corn that is, but it looks completely different from what I'm growing over here, so that corn may be going very shortly. I have to check and make sure there aren't ants biting me, because there's carpenter ants over here, and they're mean. They are mean. Mean. Look at that beautiful blue corn. Isn't that beautiful? There's all kinds of flowers on this these watermelon plants, and I'm waiting for them to get watermelons on them so that I can figure out. And that one's fairly new. All of these corn plants are kind of staggered. They decided to come up. We just kind of, so myself and a friend of mine, Sam, we planted this row together, and she planted all of this corn and stuff that's coming up over here. And let's see, I planted that corn, or no, she planted that corn at my request. That's a red corn. That I believe is either peaches and cream or a blue corn. I think that's a blue corn. Bean plant, my husband planted that one. There's a watermelon plant that's sprawling that way. I don't care. Just letting this kind of go wild for a little bit to let it grow the way it wants to. Get some stuff up. Pulling weeds, as you can see. Out here in New Mexico, you have to, and the Southwest in general, you have to be careful sometimes about where you stick your fingers because of black widows, because they'll even live in the grass. It's amazing. I didn't know they lived in grass until I saw them living in grass in our greenhouse. I was like, oh, well, that's not good. I'm guessing Kevin put that there. Black aphids over here. See, we're having lots of pest problems this year for some reason. I have plenty of natural aphids. It's black aphids, you see? See all those little black aphids? Those are what's... Oh, look. On the other side. That's why my stuff's dying. Need some ladybugs. They probably stopped selling ladybugs. Oh, look, there's a wasp. Oh, look, there's a ladybug. Oh, man. Fine. The autofocus is not working on my camera for some reason. That might have something to do with my daughter, Cyrene, dunking my phone and my husband's phone in the dog's water dish. Oh, look, there's more corn coming up. There's more corn. This is more corn. I dumped literally just a bunch of seeds in here to see what would come up. And now that we've had, it's the monsoon season here in Mexico and the Southwest. So it's raining season. So we're getting plenty of consistent rains, some of which are only 20 minutes, which isn't that great. But we are getting more stuff coming up. Corn is something that's great at coming up no matter what. So I'm just going to help some of this stuff come on out. There's more over there. As you can see, there's some peas over there. There's corn over there. I have to tame some of our vine plant. My husband didn't think that this corn would make it, but now it's out competing the bean plant. This one is too. That one's happily winding its way slowly around. This one needs to go back to this one over here. Oh good, there's more carrots coming up. There's lots more carrots. Kevin planted plenty more carrots. You can see them all. Go over there in a second. Yeah, there's plenty of ladybugs in this area. I'm very happy about that. This one's starting to catch up. I was worried about it for a little bit, but I knew that it would eventually win out over the bean. Corn grows taller than everything else. This is a, let's see, I had it blue, red originally, blue, red, I think that's a red corn. Oh. We got some Swiss chard coming up and some broccoli. That looks like broccoli, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just checking this over, making sure I'm not missing some corn. But there's carrots coming up. Yay, carrots. And they're kind of staggered too, because Yep. So most of what you'll see here will end up being fall, late fall, beginning of winter, possibly even midwinter harvest. Look at how nice and tall these are. I love the corn as it gets taller. I love it. Alright, now that I know about these worms, I'm going to have to check. Where's the beginning of your tassels? Look for little bumps, things of that nature. See, they're beautiful little tassels and they're very sticky. They've got all these little hairs. I don't know if you guys can see them. They've got all these little hairs on them. Right now, I'm just, while it's still young, I'm looking for cornflower. I'm trying to be very gentle with these plants because they are very young still. And I'm just trying to make sure that they don't get worms. I don't want worms again.